President Muhammadu Buhari has promised that the next 4 years will be tough as his administration pursues its objectives of securing the nation, growing the economy, and fighting corruption. The president said as much during a special meeting with members of the Federal Executive Council at the council chambers in Abuja. The secretary to the government of the Federation, who spoke on behalf of the ministers, is optimistic the president's re-election will deepen the ongoing reforms in civil service. Our correspondent, Ibrahim Adra, reports.
For President Buhari and the All Progressives Congress, the celebrations continue. His ministers and leadership of the civil service are meeting the president to congratulate him on his victory at the polls. Here is what the president's victory means to them.
It was a referendum on honesty, integrity, uprightness, and sincerity.
Mr. Mustafa believes the president's re-election means a lot for the civil service.
This re-election will deepen the ongoing reforms aimed at strengthening its capacity for the delivery of good governance.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
President Buhari said it was victory for all. He gave insight into the next 4 years as he pursues his administration's three-pronged approach.
I think it's going to be tough because people are very forgetful. That was why wherever I went, I reminded them of the campaign by my party or by our party of the three fundamental issues. Security, because I kept on saying, and I didn't mind even sounding like a broken gramophone record, that you have to secure a country or an institution to manage it properly. If you don't secure it, you can't manage it.
The president is happy this meeting will afford him opportunity to clear his desk.
It will save me time to catch up with what I had missed when I was trying to cover all the states and Abuja, mainly for two reasons. Firstly, to prove to the other side that I am fit. Put it here. Thank you very much.
These ministers were appointed over 5 months after President Buhari took over in 2015. Indications are that the president will dissolve the cabinet before the commencement of his second tenure, secured in the February 23rd election, as is the tradition. From the presidential villa, Ibrahim Adra, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party has ascribed the endorsement of a second term for President Buhari by foreign countries to the fear of their citizens being killed, as allegedly inferred by a statement credited to Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State. At a press conference in Abuja, Mr. Secondus described the elections of February 23rd as a sham, saying it is a Nigerian problem that must be resolved by Nigerians.
The clear effect of materializing the election, particularly in the South-South and the Southeast, in addition to the killing of innocent electorate, was the obvious suppression of voters who were either scared or chased away. This election was for us, but for the intervention of the military to manipulate. And this may not be to the knowledge. The country is wide and huge. It may not be to the knowledge of the foreign observers. We will go to court. There is nobody that will stop us from going to court. We are not going to depend approaching the court on the comments of observers that were threatened. Don't forget that the subject matter of my press conference today is the body bag election. They were threatened. And so what do you expect them to say? They have to go home with their lives. So they were threatened and silent. They can't talk. It is our responsibility as good citizens to bring this to the public and to the Nigerian people and to go to court. So we are going to court.
The United States government is congratulating the people of Nigeria on a successful presidential election, President Buhari on his re-election, and other candidates for their peaceful participation in the electoral process. In a statement by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, the U.S. government commended all Nigerians who participated fully in the election and condemned those whose acts of violence harmed Nigerians and the electoral process. The statement also notes the assessment of international and domestic observer missions, affirming the overall credibility of the election despite localized violence and irregularities. While calling on all Nigerians to ensure successful state elections next week, the United States restates its commitment to working together with Nigeria to achieve greater peace and prosperity for both countries. Meanwhile, the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Stuart Simonton, wants Nigerians to shun violence and embrace peace ahead of the governorship and state assembly elections on March 9th. The U.S. ambassador was speaking during a visit to the governor of Zamfara State, Abdulaziz Yari, at the State House in Zamfara. Mr. Simonton says the security of the people should remain paramount to the country's leaders, as he insists they also have the responsibility to protect the country's democracy. Governor Abdulaziz Yari, on his part, gave the U.S. ambassador the assurance that the present administration will ensure the choice of the people count during the polls.
Of the democratic process in these elections for the people of Zamfara, for the people of Nigeria, and for all of us in the world who believe in free people and free elections and free enterprise, because we believe that freedom will lead to prosperity and peace and security. The second thing I want to do is to underscore how important it is that every person be part of peace. The core of peace is probably both each individual taking responsibility and everybody together taking responsibility. It means that whether you're a supporter of a candidate or whether you've got an official role, whatever it is that you do, it means acting in such a way consistent with the law.
The system in Nigeria and the system in other part of the country and other part of the world is the democracy is just 20 years, uninterrupted democracy in Nigeria. It's not unlike United States of 250 years. So we are doing our best gradually. We can't run faster than the United States, and we cannot rub shoulder with the United States in the same of democracy. We are doing the same democracy, we are doing the same freedom of the people, we are doing justice, equity, and fairness, but we can't reach that today, or tomorrow, or next. It has to be gradually.
Back in the southeast, the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Imo State, Mr. Emeka Ihedioha, has received the backing of the Imo State Advisory Council of Elders, with notable Imo elders from the 3 senatorial zones endorsing the PDP flag bearer for the governorship race in the forthcoming elections on March 9th. Reading out a 6-point communique to journalists after a crucial meeting in Owerri, the Imo State capital, the group says after consulting and assessing all the governorship candidates, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, that's Emeka Ihedioha, best satisfies the aspirations of Imo State and therefore adopts him.
As the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Imo State, Emeka Ihedioha continues his governorship campaigns around the state, soliciting for the support of the Imo electorate. His ambition to be the governor received a massive boost following his endorsement by the Imo State Advisory Council of Elders. The elders, who were drawn from the 3 senatorial districts of the state and made up of former Minister of Commerce and Industry, Charles Ugwa, former Minister of Aviation, Kema Chikwe, former governor of Imo State, Achike Udenwa, as well as a former minister of establishment in the First Republic, Innocent Woga, met at the Art Nouveau Event Center in Owerri, the state capital, where they resolved to throw their weight behind the PDP flag bearer for the governorship contest.
If we allow things to go the way they were going, we might end up bequeathing to our children a situation of helplessness. In fact, they will become stateless.
The good people of Imo State come out en masse and vote for Right Honorable Chukwuemeka Ihedioha of the People's Democratic Party on Saturday, the 9th day of March 2019.
Another arm of the group, under the aegis of the Olu Elders Council, headed by the former governor of Imo State, Achike Odenwa, has also endorsed the candidacy of the PDP governorship flag bearer, Mr. Emeka Ihedioha.
We have read all the candidates that have emerged from all the political parties and adjudge Right Honorable Emeka Ihedioha as the best among them.
The governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party appreciates the elders for towing the path of truth.
After a rigorous search for a candidate that Imo elders would support for governorship, I'm humbled, and it comes with it a sense of responsibility. It demands that I work harder, and by the grace of God, I'll be guided.
With more ground to cover before the election day, the candidate and his campaign team are hopeful that victory is assured in the March 9th governorship election.
Here in Lagos, the Federal High Court has granted a bench warrant for the arrest of the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Akwa Ibom State, Uwemedimo Nwoko, the Commissioner of Finance in Sekan Nkan, the Accountant General, Mfon Udoma, and Cashier of the state government, Margaret Upe. Justice Rilwan Aikawa granted the bench warrant at the instance of the EFCC, who told the court that the defendants are at large, and the warrant was necessary to ensure their presence in court at the next adjourned date of March 18th and 19th. The four Akwa Ibom state government officials are charged alongside the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Paul Usoro, on 10 counts of conspiracy and conversion of an alleged 1.4 billion naira said to be property of the state government. The offense was allegedly committed in May 2016. Mr. Usoro has, however, pleaded not guilty to the charge, and the court admitted him to bail in the sum of 250 million naira, with one surety in like sum.